New efforts to prevent military suicides. As a nation, we lose a veteran to suicide about every hour. More veterans die from suicide than from combat, and now it has national leaders considering gun regulation changes. A Pentagon committee recommended more than 100 changes to gun sales policies on military installations. And this evening, On Your Side's Zach Wilcox is joining us in the studio to talk more about this. Zach, a few recommendations were considered a must by this committee.
Several of them are really massive changes to gun sales on bases, like increasing the waiting period and minimum age to buy a gun on Department of Defense property. Now, make no mistake, this is gun reform, and pretty significant gun reform, so it's going to come with plenty of political debate. We're really not going to get into that today. I reached out to Canines for Warriors, an organization that is not taking a stance on the ideas, but they could give me some insight into the reason this is even being talked about, which, of course, is military suicides.
Canines exist solely because of this issue and to end veteran suicide.
Canines for Warriors Chief of Staff Patty Dodson says the nonprofit continues to see more and more applications for veterans who need help. They've paired 850 veterans and military members so far.
Our wait lists have grown, but because we are getting more dogs in and training up and caring for and pairing more dogs, we are getting the rates of our warrior graduates up as well.
Canines for Warriors' approach to curbing veteran suicide is service dogs, while the Pentagon is taking a drastically different approach to the same issue. The Pentagon Suicide Prevention and Response Independent Review Committee reported 519 military suicides in 2021. It reported 2/3 of active duty suicides and more than 3/4 of National Guard suicides were using a firearm.
We're very gratified to see the Department of Defense taking a position on this and applying resources to trying to find solutions.
The committee came up with a list of recommendations, highlighted by wanting to add a 7-day waiting period for firearm sales on Department of Defense property, a 4-day waiting period for ammo, and raising the minimum age to buy a firearm on a base from 18 to 25. Canines for Warriors isn't taking a position on those ideas, but Dodson is relieved to see the issue getting more attention.
We may not always agree with all the solutions and whether they apply to the veterans we serve, but having options is key to getting the best results and preventing suicide.
Now, the committee said in its report that many of the ideas will need congressional approval. It's pushing for the Department of Defense to put a plan together and ask for Congress to approve it as quickly as possible. So we'll just have to wait and see how many of those more than 100 ideas make the cut. In the studio, Zach Wilcox, First Coast News, On Your Side.